So far, so good.
Is the message resonating with the people?
Very well.
Yeah, and because one of the things that I've heard during this entire campaign trail is how people have been saying, I mean, it's the same people you voted out. Why would you want to bring them back? And there's that constant reminder that don't bring back the exact same people. So how do you rebrand in a way, in such a way that it's not the same?
It can't be completely not the same. I can give you an example of UPND. If you look at the composition of UPND, UPND only became strong when there had so many people coming from the MMD. You know, all the people that have been ministers, you know, the Msokotwanes, where they coming from. You know, so sometimes it's just the simplistic way of people trying to, cast aspersions on other leaders. You understand where the Sylvia Masebo was coming from. Some of these leaders are from MMD, PF, and today UPND. The Felix Mutatis, we were together in cabinet of PF. Today they are in UPND. So those who want to use that have just got a narrow way of looking at politics. There's no political party that stands on its own. And talking about that, there's a bogus alliance called the UPNPF. You understand? There are two factions of PF there. The one with the Chavinga and the Mao Sampa, which is with the UPND. So when they are saying coming back what? So it's like them who should be saying they're trying to come back. But that aside, we have had to quickly adapt to the challenges of the way our colleagues have been trying to manage democracy. You understand? PF was under bombardment, and so the other political parties, FDD. We are in an alliance. We are in an alliance which President Lugo, in his wisdom, left for us with other leaders. So there are a number of political parties under the Tonse Alliance, now Tonse-Pamodzi Alliance, that came together, realizing that at the rate UPND was doing things, we were not going to end up competing. They were not going to end up competing with any formidable political force. So we realized that there was need for us to get together and make sure that we come up with a formidable platform. You remember that under the same alliance, we participated in by-elections. We scooped a seat in Petauke, and the NCP party, which has now ended up in the UPND thick alliance. We had then with FDD. We had a member of parliament coming from Chawama, a very good run in Kasama, where they had to resort to orthodox means to scoop that seat. Yeah. So when they saw that FDD was likely going to be a platform for us to use, what did they do? They also got into that. As we are sitting here, we were prepared to go with under FDD as a purpose vehicle under the Tonse Alliance. But today, as we sit, there's a judgment that was done in a very interesting way, where there was a ruling to say State Council Chifumbanda was not properly elected. So you know what could have happened if we were not planning and we were not watching these colleagues of us with their maneuvers and so-called mingalatos. We wouldn't have had a presidential candidate and a party. So we were really working against time and trying to beat these mingalatos. So that's where you see the emerging. Because most of these parties that we had, which we could have fought back on, we knew what they were going to do to them. It could have been the same as it is to FDD. So we had to make sure that we had to come up with a greenfield, platform, which is the NRPUP. And with that, if you look at the way the party is called, we are saying this country needs to reconcile. It needs proper reconciliation. It needs proper unity. Because whatever we plan to do, if there's no unity, if there's just acrimony, if there's ethnic division that we are seeing being propagated in certain areas, we can't achieve anything. We need to ensure that we preach the One Zambia, One Nation motto practically, in practical terms. not when it suits you. That's when you say about it. When where it doesn't suit you, it's one Zambia, one side. It shouldn't be like that. So we are saying the nation should reconcile. And so that's how we came up with that this Greenfield project. And then our colleagues on the other hand were also having RP. So against time, we had to see how we could come together. Yes, things haven't been smooth, but we're here.
Is it a bit confusing to have, and I don't know if you picked up this, there's some news items that I saw this week of some candidates withdrawing from one of the, this is one of the purpose vehicles that's being used. You've got guys that are campaigning or taking part in elections from both of the two, RP and NRPUB. Is it a bit confusing? Do you think that you might confuse voters by having two parties, one headed by the president and then the other one by the running mate? Do you worry about the confusion that might cause?
Well, the clarity is, Roach, like if you had me explain, and this is why you saw there was a desire not to have our colleagues on the ballot. It was there eminent, and people must have, I don't even need to go to details for people to know. So remember, we also were trying to see how we could save the Patriotic Front. Only when it became clear and we were able to read the end game, did we realize that we were going to end up nowhere if we didn't see the way optics were unfolding. And so the limited time we had, the limited space we had to work with, resulted into the two purpose vehicles that you are speaking to. But even with the limited time, we had to make sure that we worked together, both teams of the running mate now, Honorable Makebi Zulu and his team. We were racing against time, but we also knew that if we risked with only one platform, there was danger that, one wouldn't have succeeded, as it were. You saw that initially we had processed the 1,000 supporters in the provinces, which under President Munduvire, when he paid. And those were now aligned with FDD. Now, you think for once, if that's the way we proceeded to the filing day, and then there's this judgment which has come now, just a week after that, which pointed to the fact that State Council Chifumbanda was not duly elected president of the Forum for Democracy and Development, FDD. Do you imagine what could have ended? He, according to the new Electoral Act and the regulations that have been pronounced by Electoral Commission of Zambia, to say only a president of a political party. We argued in Parliament when they were doing those amendments, but it seems they had calculated their way of doing things, where they said a president and the secretary general of a political parties should be the ones to sign adoption certificates. So imagine a certificate could have been signed for President Brian Munduvire by State Council Chifumbanda and the Secretary General, Mr. Mlonga. And then that ruling comes in. You understand? That would have meant the nomination of Brian Munduvire would have been a nullity. So we had to look ahead. We had to think through and adjust it. And at that time, we were also negotiating with the other group of my dear brother Makebi. And to correct the thing, he is not the president of that RP. He would have been a presidential candidate. So it's not like he's not a president of that political party. Okay. He was just going to be a sponsored candidate for that political party. So negotiations were still going on at that time with limited time. And that's how you saw him also go to pay. So thinking that if we had failed on the other side, we could have then switched to the other platform. Yeah, so that's how you saw Mr. Brian Munduvire Honorable going to pay sets for the very second time. And we were told that he couldn't move those supporters that they were processed under FDD. Then we had to do another process of getting supporters, fresh supporters, for him to go and filing now under the NRPUP. And you saw us bringing the supporters, from across the country. We had in excess of 160 from Southern, 150 from Western, and to come to the showgrounds to process during that same day. So these are the challenges we have had, real-time challenges. And so what you have seen of seeing the two platforms under the same alliance was the limited time we had for us to harmonize and, agree on how we are going to harmonize the adoption of the candidates. And our appeal now is that, look, our leaders have tried to be Democrats. They don't want to dictate and to be, to kind of overrun those that are supporting them. So they have given time to the individual candidates to assess on what should be done, what the going forward should be. And our appeal to the candidates is just understand that you need to work with mutual respect, respect each other. Democracy is very interesting. And so when we encounter certain issues like it is now, it's important that we operate with mutual respect, and then we don't make work difficult for our leaders. The president and the presidential candidate and the running mate are trying to be Democrats, but you see they are on a platform of NRPUP, both of them under the lamp as our symbol. So we still trying to refine, even with less than 3-4 days. We are trying to engage our few candidates that are contesting against each other and see how they work with mutual respect, without damaging each other, and without subtracting from the massive support that the presidential candidate and the running mate are enjoying from the masses.
Yeah. So there was somebody here on Tuesday who said, and we were just having a general conversation about politics, elections, etc. And he said he thinks it's difficult for NRPUP to win, and the reason he said was, if you look at the fact that they haven't been able to field candidates in every constituency, that already you can see the challenges there. Is there any? Do you think that there is any? Should anyone pay attention to this? The fact that you didn't manage to go ahead with in every constituency.
Well, I will show you the challenges.
Yeah.
We are 226 seats to field in. And then we, of course, have colleagues that we are working with. Democracy is you must accept things. It's not to suit one particular individual, and this is why I fear when I listen to the president speak about citizens who have opted to contest, under different banners, including independents. It's a constitutional right, for heaven's sake. I know that they had the intention to do away with that clause, with that article that provides for independent candidates. And we stood ground, we stood firm. But you see, when you are trying to tinker with the Constitution using personal emotions, what you get is not, you can never get the desired results. You imagine the president of the Republic of Zambia, who really wanted to have the constitutional amendments done. Behind his mind, he also didn't want independent candidates, but he also didn't have enough numbers to marshal for the constitutional amendments to be done, which are still questionable, because I look at that, those amendments still remain as a national scandal, and I will justify along the way why those constitutional amendments still remain scandalous up to date. They wanted to remove that article that provides for independent candidates, and then when they failed, they wanted to change the period in which a person can qualify to stand as an independent candidate if he was belonging to a political party, which was literally making it impossible, because to go as an independent can be made even within a week before the filing in, just as you have seen other eminent citizens like Mr. Gary Nkombo going independent. So he needed those independent numbers, or those numbers of independent candidates in Parliament. Okay? So that's how that clause to have independent candidates remain in the Constitution. Yeah, but still he has expressed what he wanted to have been done by going publicly to castigate and denounce independent candidates and accuse them of all sorts of things. So, but we don't look at things that way ourselves. We know that in the democracy, you must even work with people that you don't like. That's how it is. I don't have to like you, don't have to be my brother for me to work with you. So we are working on some modalities of ensuring that where we may not have candidates, we have like-minded people standing who are citizens, qualified, be it independent, be it other political parties. We need to appreciate that this is how it should be. It shouldn't be to make sure that you are only going to have one party. That should not be the way we look at democracy. Okay. So we have mechanisms of how we are interacting with like-minded people that are competing where we don't have. Okay. But this is why you saw some of us, you were asking, no, why are you not supporting the amendments which are talking about delimitation? Yes, delimitation, I would have loved to have delimitation. Even
wasn't your constituency delimited?
It wasn't delimited for obvious political reasons, I don't know.
Oh, it wasn't?
But it was marked.
Okay. Now,
what informed that delimitation were political marriages of convenience. If I'm liked by those that were making the final decisions, then the constitution. If someone is labeled, like we were in Shwangandu, the person that was a cabinet minister nominated was labeled to have not voted for the Bill 7, so the constituency suffers. And alas, Mwanga, it's common knowledge that is among those that were labeled publicly by the president of not having voted for the Bill 7. And that's why I'm saying it remains a national scandal, because initially it was 9 members not voted. Up to today, Luchi, there's no record to show, to authenticate the constitutional amendment. The procedure, as required by the standing orders of Parliament, is that orders of proceedings and votes, where you are voting on a serious matter like the Constitution, within 24 hours, those records must be availed to all members of Parliament to show who voted, who abstained, and those who voted yes and no. But you remember, according to the pronouncements of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Madam Nelly Muti, the indication she gave to the nation that all of those that were in the chamber were voted. So if others didn't vote, how was the threshold achieved? So when I call it a national scandal, I've been at Parliament long enough to know where there's an issue. So that's a matter that remains to be resolved. And look, I can't even imagine what the Speaker should have felt when the President went publicly to announce that MP ABCD didn't vote for Bill 7 when our pronouncements speak contrary.
Okay.
So now coming back to,
I want to talk about the obviously, because we don't have a lot of time, and it's not often that you guys come in for whatever reason. I guess maybe money is a bit tight, so let's utilize the time that we do have. Let's talk about some of the ideas that you have in terms of how to do things a bit differently if you do win the elections on the 13th of August. So let's start first of all with energy. Yes. Energy has been a big crisis in this country for the past 4 years, but there's a legacy issue in terms of infrastructure. What do you do differently to ensure that if we do have another drought, as some people are predicting, that we don't find ourselves in a situation where there's massive load shedding?
Thank you so much, Luchi, and I totally appreciate that you would want us to speak to some of those key matters. Energy sector, very key, very important for the economy. For any economy to thrive, the energy sector must be at the center and ensure that all the subsectors under this sector, be it electricity subsector and fuel subsector, are properly structured, with the predictability of what to expect out of those subsectors. Electricity subsector, you do recall that I was part of the previous cabinet of the Patriot Front. We had significant investments to go into hydropower generation. Of course, being people have said we borrowed. Yes, we borrowed for a purpose, and that was a well-intended purpose to try and increase the number of megawatts that could go into the production. So other than that, we also started looking at diversified sources of energy. You remember that there was a program to develop human resource to look about nuclear power energy, and a number of youths were sent to countries like Russia to go and learn as a way of preparing human resource for that. You saw the investment that went into Mamba Core, power generation there, and of course we also started solar power energy under the industrial IDC. So going forward, we need to make sure that we embark on that trajectory, ensuring that we invest in these diverse sources, knowing that solar energy will have its own limitations and constraints. Even looking at the climate changes, so you need to make sure that you diversify and make sure that you have got proper fallbacks on. So for us, the issue of nuclear energy should still remain on the cards, and we want to make sure that that is reactivated and some intended investment go into that area. We are different from the way our colleagues were just making pronouncements when they were in the opposition. No, we come into government, first year we finished road shedding. We had to endure 4 years of road shedding. Waste, because we had people that prioritized making money at the expense of small businesses, at the expense of citizens. You understand? Right now, you can't even explain how we have ended up with, there are some creatures that have been created. There's Canona, which is buying power, getting Zesco and supplying power. Right now, Luchi, citizens don't even know the proper cost of the unit of power. Now people have to buy. I don't know. I don't know how the citizens are being scammed. You hear people getting, they have to buy power the first week of the month or something like that.
That's always been the case, though.
Well, it hasn't been the case.
That's always been the case.
Since when?
That's always been the case.
But I'm saying.
No, as somebody who's bought power, that's always been the
case. From where? From when?
From even in your time, under PF. We used it, that was the same. You would buy on the first of the month, it's more than it is outside. It hasn't changed.
How?
The only thing that's different is the tariff rate is different. But in terms of when you buy and how much you get, nothing has changed. That hasn't changed.
Let's not too much. That's a small one.
Yes, it's
that's a small one.
But I thought I should just mention that to you.
Well, look, it can be a small one. But what I'm saying is, people had to suffer 4 years. Because someone decided to export power. We argued in Parliament. You remember very well. I'm speaking to these things because...
so we won't export power. If we find ourselves in that situation, you won't export power, regardless of whatever contractual agreements.
No, first of all, the priority should be your local consumption and your local production. Yeah. So
cancel any contracts that you have.
You not cancel the contracts. That's why you should have force majeure, where there's unforeseen eventualities that then says, look, here you have got limitations. What do you do first? Just as at home, if you're faced with limited food stocks, do you give the neighbor first or you deal with your children first? You deal with your children first. That's your first priority before you can think of the next door. So now, well, what is annoying is that you had power being imported, small businesses scrambled, lives of people changed, and it became unbearable. Then you come and hear that there was some money to the tune of $80 million externalized by mistake to China. Does that make sense to you? In any manner or form, does that make sense to you? So
I don't tell you the reason they gave.
No. There can never be any justified reason. Yeah. There can never be. It's just recklessness. Yeah. And then you come and find that the person that was at the helm of Zesco Power Utility, when that was done, moves into the private sector and is heading one monster created called Canona, which is also dealing in the energy of importing and exporting energy. That cannot be a mistake. That was a designed theft to try and disenfranchise the Zambian citizens. So we want to cut down on that and make sure that, look, what the people's investments in the energy sector is protected, not to just benefit few greedy individuals, as it is happening now. So we need to make sure that the investment in the energy sector is well structured to suit and benefit the citizens.
Okay, so you said nuclear. Sorry, you said nuclear as an idea that you have.
Yes.
Is that in addition to increased hydro, or is purely the thinking nuclear?
No, you have,
and if that's the case, then how do you fund? Because I think that's one of the things that we've seen in the past 4 or 5 years is that there's been a challenge. There's been an idea around PPPs and bringing in private businesses to build some of these infrastructures, etc., etc. So how do you get the money? How do you find the money for you to build a nuclear, for example, which takes 3-4 years, give or take? It's long term. That's what I mean. It's a long term investment. Nuclear.
Correct, but you plan. You plan for the long term. And when I say diversified sources of energy and electricity, we don't say we are going to cut out hydro power generation. You can't. You continue investing there, and then that's why we are saying diversified, so that you have various sources, and you don't get caught up. So in the investments to go in nuclear will be similar to where we did go into Mamba. Mamba, which is now giving you a reasonable number of megawatts in terms of investment. So that continues. Nuclear comes on board. Because you need to look at production. We are talking about increasing the tonnage of copper production. If you don't have power, how is it going to be possible? So these are things that may have private injection of capital, working with government, and in a win-win situation without disadvantaging our citizens. So that's where we look at that. Coming to the fuel subsector, remember we were against the idea of doing away with Indian petroleum. Yes, we have seen some afterthought kind of projects coming up to go into what they're calling fuel refinery. Now, you can't first away throw what you have and then start thinking of new projects, which takes so much time to come on board. Dr. Kaunda and his team, who came up with Indian refinery, had seen, because even they started where we are today. They were importing finished products. And they realized that that was not sustainable, just as it is not sustainable now. So if you look at the reports at Parliament, in committee reports, they point to the fact that Indian refinery had a turnaround strategy, that strategy which could have seen the Indian expand and modernize in terms of operations. There was talk of procuring an hydrocracker and things like that. So that mistake to come and convert the Tazama pipeline, 1,700 plus of pipeline, from moving commingled fuel which used to come to Indeni to start moving finished products, we mentioned it then and we still feel the same, that it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable venture, because you see, the fact that we are landlocked and we depend on foreign oil markets, we needed to be strategic, just as our forefathers were. When you import crude for 3 months, that 3 months, even if there are changes in terms of prices of oil, you are covered for that period. And 2, it gives you security of stock. Right now, we saw that they were opening some reserve, and you have heard the oil marketing companies saying that will have no impact. They were all grounded. Because right now, even as we speak, Comrade Luchi, we shall be lucky if we don't get our fuel station not going dry. Because the prices that are being dictated to the oil marketing company and those that are importing is not workable. It's not workable. Because I know that government would want to try and strike a balance. I even sympathize with the Energy Regulation Board at this time, because of what they have to do, juggling with the figures in order to keep the supply going and the filling stations having fuel. So for us, we need to go back to the drawing board and make sure that we look at that aspect of doing away with Inden. What would have been viable was to do another pipeline for the finished product, okay, or build another bigger pipeline to bring crude oil, while you have a backup for the finished product, which finished product should only cater for the minimum percentage of consumption, because you are likely going to see the challenge very soon of depending on finished products. And the reason it's very difficult to predict using finished products, any changes in the market, international market, it affects the pump price immediately, or a few days. And these traders, they work in cartels. These people that supply fuel products, they work in cartels. So our colleagues, when they were in the opposition, remember, they were saying we are putting a 3/4 on the fuel, and that's why it was expensive. I don't know how much they're putting themselves now. That the fuel price, they've reduced the customs duty, they've removed the import duty. Right now, they are in the limited, difficult space on how much relief they can give to keep the fuel flowing. So we need to move away from that so that we can be predictable. And for us, we need to revisit that decision and make sure that refinery is the way to go. And Inden can be revived with injection of reasonable capital in there. So that's what we're trying to do.
I know someone who asked, where do you get the capital from?
Look, it depends on how you go to the market. You can still get. How has the money been found to do that new refinery they are talking about? I don't even know whether it has taken off. But this is what we are crying. You need to have security. You can't even plan at personal level, but Luchi, you have to wait for the month end for the price of fuel to change. How often does your take-home pay change? How often does your salary change? So these are the challenges. These are the realities that we need to face head on and deal with. We won't take lip service of saying, no, today we remove this tax, tomorrow we remove that tax. How often are you going to do that? So we need to have predictable investment and to ensure that the energy sector is sustainable. So in brief, that's what I can say about that, because the energy sector affects everything else, in terms of production.
Okay, so that's energy. I also want to ask you about agriculture. I know the president in the manifesto. There's quite a lot about the president of the NRPUP. There's quite a lot of talk about agriculture. This particular government keeps talking about how they want to increase the number of metric tons of maize. Well, what is the NRPUP idea around agriculture?
Our idea around agriculture is to make sure that we have sustainable policies, not makeshift policies, where you wake up today and say, no, we are only going to have so many numbers of farmers benefiting from FISIP. And we can categorize. We should have policies that should speak to the commercial farmers on one hand, those that are able to invest huge capital into the farming sector for commercial purposes, because they are also necessary. How do we make sure that their investment is manageable, and that they also don't suffer shocks like they did suffer during the time we had load shedding, because most of them depend on the energy sector. So they suffer double, especially from the energy sector. If there's no predictable supply of fuel, they are affected, because they use tractors, they use machinery, they use all sorts of machinery on their farms. The energy, the electricity, lack of electricity hits them. Their equipment can't function. So meaning production comes to zero for the commercial farmers. The irrigation equipment and everything depends so much on energy. So you make sure that you set up policies that will keep production sustainable in the commercial agriculture sector. Small scale, who have by and large fed the nation. The movement for multi-party democracy, MD government, which came up with a farmer input support program, had an idea of supporting viable but not sustainable farmers, small-scale farmers. Those who are vulnerable but viable, they all needed support. So the idea was to support them, and up to a certain level, then win them off the program so that others are enrolled on that program. That has had challenges due to the number of factors that that was affecting the farming sector, including drought and many other issues. So what was needed is the reforms that we even embarked on. The e-voucher system, to ensure that the inputs were given to the intended beneficiaries, to intended small-scale farmers. If you look at the IMF program, for example, when the discussions commenced of the IMF program, they do recognize FISIP as one program that has kept the nation food secure. But there are the challenges with its management. So what we just need to do is to bring new ideas and categorize farmers. There are farmers that are vulnerable but viable. Okay? These are the ones that we can tailor the program to say can be supported up to a certain limit before they are considered for being weaned off the program. On one hand, you have got vulnerable, productive farmers. These are ones that would depend perpetually on the support from government. And it's not unusual. The countries where farming is sustainable, be it national economies, there are always subsidies that are channeled into the sectors of agriculture. Specific subsidies. So there are those farmers that are vulnerable but productive. These are farmers that you cannot win off. Then where we are dealing with social safety net programs under community development, that's where you can structure that program. For those farmers that you cannot win off, they still need continuous support, and you create a different market for them in order for them to continue production and in order for government to sustainably support them. The ones that you can consider win-off, like I said, are those that can grow, that are able to even buy. The price of when the price of inputs is maintained to affordable levels, are the ones that you put on that program where you can say. But now what is happening is that farmers are being weaned off the program when they are not able to sustain themselves. You know, it's like getting a child from breastfeeding before the child, gets ready to be off the breast. You can't expect that child to survive. So these are farmers that are drifting in poverty. You win them off and you create more cooperatives, and you have heard us more than once complain in Parliament that farmers are getting to share inputs using the famous measurements called MEDAS and seeds in the cup. So you can't expect those farmers to be productive. So this is how we want to think of coming with sustainable policies that will be predictable and make farmers plan. It doesn't help. You imagine farmers who grew maize last year. They were only being paid this year in February by FRA. Now, we are only knowing now the challenges that FRA is facing because of those fraudulent deals that are there. And the reckless management of stocks. Remember that we lost more than 3 million metric tons of maize in stocks, which our colleagues just immediately came in and started selling, importing. They created companies, little companies, which were getting millions of contracts to get maize from FRA to export or smuggle out. Now it has caught up with them. Now FRA is in financial stress. You understand? And you cannot expect to manage the price of minimum, the staple food, with that kind of reckless management of the stocks and the production. You heard the Minister Mutoro Piri lamenting in Parliament, even jumping up. No, we are not going to increase the number of beneficiaries of FISIP. His president the other day, when he has now realized the pressure that is on the ground, is saying now no more sharing of fertilizer in Medas. When we signaled it, they thought we were politicking. If they had listened today, they would have been going with a good message to the farmers. Now they have to go back and forth to the farmers to try and convince them that they are going to do things differently. So even when they delay the announcement of the price of maize using the pretext of moisture content, it doesn't hold. There has been no planning. It's chipante-pante chimbuno plan. That's how it has been. So we need to make sure that the agriculture sector, which can create jobs, just like the energy sector, which can also create jobs, because most of our youths who want to engage in farmers have just got no means, and that's how that's where we are in farming. So we need to do predictable policies that can revive farming and make it sustainable to ensure that there's food security in the country. When I say pante, that's why you can have the second word of the vice president coming to say no, the production of maize will be in megawatts. It's not a small mistake. It's how the organized confusion is with our colleagues who have been in government, the outgoing UPND.
Okay, just one more sector, and then it'd be nice to have people call in and just you can answer questions directly from voters. Mining. So I don't want to be economical with the truth here, but you didn't leave mining in a very good position when you left as a patriotic front. And I know I'm not talking to somebody who is sitting here as a PF member, but you were obviously part of a cabinet that shares collective responsibility. What do you do differently?
Thank you so much, Luchi. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you partly. I can say yes and no. Okay. In terms of how we left the mining sector. We look. I'll start with the giant mining houses, for example. KCM, Mopani, and the Kansanshis, and what others. You may say we didn't leave the mining sector productive and viable, and I would say yes and no. We did realize that we had investors who were not sincere in the sector of mining. And their insincerity made the nation not to drive beneficiations in terms of taxes and in terms of investment for them to create jobs for our citizens. And mind you, mining is a very interesting sector because the God-given natural capital that we have in the mines is depleting assets. You cannot mine forever. These mines the mineral deposits under them will finish and will remain with those craters to manage in the run. So the decision was made first for KCM to say, let's maybe start afresh. Because the kind of deal we were getting from Vedanta, who are investors in KCM, was a raw one. The continuous purge of investment never ended. Okay, so we sat as cabinet, and we can't run away from these things. These are decisions that we can't run away, because you cannot have a proper future without looking at the past. So you must take stock of where you're coming from and then talk about where you are and where you need to go. So the decision was made to part company with that investor, because an investor must come on a win-win situation kind of arrangement. We have got natural capital. That's why you are flying kilometers and kilometers from where you're coming from to come and invest in exploring that capital. We are also saying, yes, welcome. We need to have benefits from this natural God-given capital. So we parted company. And what we were looking at is to have investors that were going to have with mutual respect. Yes, you have come with your capital that should be secured and properly managed, but you are not going to ignore our resource, because we need to benefit from this resource by creating jobs for our people, so that our people can have quality jobs, get proper remunerated, live decent lives, as people working for the mines. Now, if you don't, then the deal fails. You remember, even when our colleagues came, they would have started very afresh, and we thought that they were going to get it right because we had created an environment for them. They had where to start from. They would have looked for proper investors, because remember, there was talk of that this KCM, after being kicked out, being frustrated, they started reaching out to our colleagues and so, when you come in, please get us back. Here you are. There were talks of $20 million, changing hands. And but remember, when they came, they were publicly denying. The records are there. We are not going to reconsider Vedanta coming back to KCM. We shall look for fresh investors. We knew behind our minds that we shall see. Today, those people are back. Go to Chingola. Go and see what is happening, whether indeed we made a mistake to kick them out, or indeed we knew what we were doing. So if they have come back because they have been, there are few greedy citizens who have benefited from that, we must revisit that so that we can have genuine beneficiations. Or they must put on the table new strategies which will be different from what we know them.
Which is what, isn't it what they ended up doing? This particular administration, isn't it what they ended up telling the investor to say, if you come back, this is the agreement that we need to sign in terms of what you need to do. You need to be able to show that this is what you're able to do. Isn't that what they signed?
My brother, there's no sincerity. First of all, you need to just go to KCM and see what's happening there. How are the contractors being treated? How are the people working in that means mine now? Are they any better? They will tell you that there's nothing happening there sensibly to show that they have changed their ways of doing things. And so that's a kind of partnership we are not going to. If you look at the FIC report of the past 3 years, it's pointing to what? Tax evasion. Who are the culprits? The mining houses. Talk about this same consumption. Who are the people found to be externalizing money? 3 billion in a criminal offense that was pursued and people arrested. What has happened? Those people forgiven for their crimes, for their wrongs of externalizing, getting people's money out, and they've been rewarded with shares within the same mine. What kind of people are we? I've always said, you have heard me in Parliament say, we are not going to have a scenario where a country turns into what we call in Bemba, umulembo wa chipuba, upira muri tumfwe, where people can come and get away. We don't have apologies to make, but we must go in this mining sector with a clear understanding that this is a natural God-given capital which will deplete at some point. We need to start getting beneficiaries. So those decisions to cut the partnership were driven by realizing that we were failing to understand each other and reach a common understanding in the interest of the people.
Regardless of how it was done. You don't think that, and again, that's why I said that we could make the argument, but I don't really want to spend too much time on making the argument. But what I'm hearing from you is that the intention is to come back and re-look at these agreements.
Yes.
And if you don't like, you chuck them out.
We have got no apologies to make.
Which is exactly what you did the last time round and ended up sitting in court for a very long time.
Look.
You can't mine when you're in court.
I totally agree with you.
I just want to be clear on what the plan is.
That can be discussed. That can be discussed. Yes, maybe the manner, but the intention was correct, and I still feel the intention was correct. If probably the management of the transition wasn't good enough, that's a matter that can be looked at. But it's the same with Mopani, for example, Grenco, who were not in the mining industry. They were not mining. They are merchants of metals. They came and got Mopani and then subcontracted people from South Africa to mine on their behalf, and it had also its own issues. I may not be a mining expert, but we understood the context in which that partnership failed. Okay? But to look at the new investment now, which has also been not clear, we don't know how much money was realized from those sales. You remember the protracted discussion we had in Parliament, where the Minister of Mines himself failed to explain what had transpired in that transaction of Mopan after Grenco left. So again, they had an opportunity to start afresh. But if you are going to get investments that are only going to benefit a few at the expense of citizens, Zambian people still come for you. And the responsibility of government is to protect the interests of the larger majority of the Zambian people. And all these sectors we are talking about, you can talk about free education. If you don't have money to put into the education sector, you cannot get quality free education. You can't, because I remember when I was going to school, I would get a book, a pencil to start in grade 1. That was free education. And if we are talking free education, we must make sure that we invest so much in classrooms so that we have got enough classes for our children. So if we don't have the sector that should push in money into these other sectors, then we can't go anywhere. We can make pronouncements, Baba, it will still come back to zero. So beyond those larger mining sectors, you know that God has also given us deposit of God. You remember there was Kasenseli in Mwendulong of Northwestern Province, where we had to halt the activities that were going there, so that the activities could be structured and that the government benefits. At the same time, the locals, indigenous citizens where that resource was found, also got to benefit. And that's how the decision was made to make Bank of Zambia an aggregator, of getting the gold from being mopped up from these structured small-scale miners. And then there was a decision to try and capacitate them. You give them equipment. Because you see, I've heard people say, no, you have given artisanal mining. People have got licenses. They are cooperatives. Some of those licenses are just death warrants. Because where those people are going to mine Luchi, lives are being lost. And they are not just being reported because people want to continue. Someone will be buried and they will just move to another point and start digging. So that's what the kind of small-scale mining sector that we need to see. When we hear Brian Mundubire say we are going to create millionaires from the youth, he's saying there must be structured support to these youth cooperatives so that they mine in a safe environment where their lives are also safe. And they sell in a structured manner where government is able to get the benefits, and which goes then to the other sectors. You cannot, and when people get surprised to see transactions at the airport, or gold in one plane and dollars in another plane, it's the way we have structured things, and people can do all manner of transactions, and it's okay. You don't know who is mining what. Next thing you are at the airport, you are seeing planes loaded with gold. What is there? You have got the Minister of Mines saying, no, it's not gold, it's copper. So, in an organized confusion, that's what happens. But we want to have a structured way. In Ishwangandu, in Mpika, in Northwestern Province, where there are all these areas, in Central Province, we can structure the support, properly regulated mining that creates millionaires and that also brings wealth to the nation. And that's what we are saying. It's not skyrocket science. It's just you need to have a structured government of less greedy people who just want to line up their pockets when an opportunity arises. Okay. And it's the same with the dump sites in these mining areas, those old dump sites that have remained. You saw the way we are giving them away to the youth for benefits, because you have to deal with joblessness in a practical way. The communities that are there where the dump sites are, be it Mufrira, Kitwe, Chingola, you don't have to wait until it's elections when the chips are down. That's when you want to go and tell the youths and say, no, we are going to give you, without even pronouncing the structured way you're going to do that. It doesn't work. That's why you see youths misbehaving. It wasn't good that youths had to throw stones at the head of state. But because of the way they have been treated, the way the leadership have been greedy, that's what you get. But when you structure support to these youths and the groupings, and they will benefit from the investment of government.
Okay, let me take some phone calls if you allow me to. 226-841-0978-895-895 if you want to get in touch with us this morning. Mr. Stephen Kampyongo is here with us this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello,
What's your name?
Hello.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?
Hello?
What is your name?
Hello, morning, Luchi.
What is your name? What's your name?
Mr. Table Peter here.
Mr. Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, my line here is saying I hope you're able to hear me.
We can hear you, Peter. Go ahead.
I was speaking to vernacular, Mr. Kampyongo. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, I was speaking vernacular. I hope you understand Nyanja, Mr. Kampyongo.
So,
Kampyongo, if I want to say one question, Moses. Tell me, I'm a government in PF. Pamene if voice vamemkamba manja ijatai pameso vikam even encouraging my youth to kupa bill to tena miala wa president whereby there is organized ndani ya members wa PF and tax ranch they were organized by the kwa tena miala wa president mama inzi ya majira boy hizo tena mama ini wamara when first musonda boss right bezotenga ngrama baika masaka bose ko maiba abeba bamukamba uti bamukamba uchita vina ngwapwani imbo Kampyongo language yane mesumusia kuita threaten bantu mukamba like mukamba laona bana bamunyumba you threaten every time language yane tone of speaking you don't change so mukamba kutelo muzabo chinja vindu muzabo chinja kwabwanji from that time up to manje is just the same PF ni PF. This is about Nimwena.
Okay.
Kampyongo. Don't cheat us, Kampyongo.
Peter.
Even PF, Papa Kata, each and every time. And then, what are you telling us?
Okay. Peter wants he wants to hear what you do differently. Hello, good morning. Let me take a few more, and then I'll let you respond. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Bruno
Banji, boss.
Aho tiri Bruno ni Wamakangela pa garden banalisebo.
Okay. Kambani Wamakangela.
La MP watu wa Kampyongo mulibwa.
Makangela.
Tiri Bruno. Mukamba Bruno maningi ba MP watu wasabwera ko mbuyo. Mavuto anetipitamo mungaine Wamakangela na family yanga bana banga. Manshito yanasila after 2021 wa HH wa forming a government. Tabutika. And muntu wabene sana aone mavuto ayo nisikaya kapena alikuti. Lord shedding 4 years. Bana batu ma industries mwanewenzo waya yako wanabankazika. Mwende muvipatala ba MP banga. Mulize minkwala na Nyereti kumozi na Grove nikugulira kumozi. Ni government ya bwanji. Baka mbate wana ndrama za reserve bati kuvipatala. Kwa hivyo kuma cancer hospital kulibi letu. Mukayangana hapa. Tenzo gula unga pa mtengo wa dola. Kansi ba beneficiary ni mamena wali mu government. Batenga ni ma agent kuzedenes wagulisa mitengo yo dola. Kutosa unga pa 120 110 kupeleka pa ma 450 hapa ulipa 260 unga unachipa. Mwaiona maguto aneta pitambo muntu amena fola 700 kwata 800 kwata ba Kampyongo baza kupasa ni vote hapa tichinja government osabula mumbuyo osambira mine bakamba iyo CDF yao kulibe like muno mwati kulibe bameti nao napo 40 million but under ba ECL tenza kuona ma development tenza kuona uloenda kuchipatana mikwalo pasiwa mwaiona by this time kulibiretu all of free education yao yo my uniform ni $1 sapato ni $1 bana balimo 120 baba president wa mundu wakamba quality education bana wafunika 50 mu class not more than that so imatukupa vote mu PF government kamene benzi wana konde mako bantu ni kadarism otherwise bantu wetu kunkala bwino ngalama zezemo mu circulation hapa mkayangana kuyambira ali mu government na ifa mene siserenza ba business woman pano munga ino Wamakangela tivutikira pamozi.
Okay.
Angela.
Thank you very much. Let's try and be as brief as possible so we can give it a chance to as many people. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name? Hello, what's your name?
Hello.
What's your name? What's your name?
Good morning. My name is Mr. Porter Tapisha.
Okay, Porter, go ahead.
Thank you. Kampyongo mashibukeni.
Porter.
Inquiry. What the advice? kuli Kampyongo and the team you are riding on. Yes, if we go back, there are some certain things over Bombere. I'll use the term PF. Certain things over Bombere PF ubali bomba wino na simbi wotaba Bombere wino kunuma. And ngatwasa to the current government, na then there are some things over Bombere wino. Na then wotaba Bombere wino. So I'll pinpoint participants of Walanda Kampyongo hapa. Yes, you are speaking well. Riding on the previous call for Chirandati, nishta much tirefionse for Muleranda wino, which is okay, but there's no need of us going back one bokulangolo shat no nishta bashire. But my point is, now we have experience from what you did to PF and what you are seeing the UPND is doing wrong now. You have experience, which we know yes you can do better. But for now, I would prefer you just concentrate on the load shedding which we've suffered for 4 years. If you target campaigning on the load shedding issue, yes, you might have a chance of bouncing back. But the rest of other issues, I doubt, because like our previous call for Chiranda, the moment we have the PF components back in government, we have challenges. People will start running up and down in streets from cadres. I think the only issue we can pinpoint here campaigning, I think load shedding, yes, 1 or 2 people can listen. But for now, these other issues, I think the UPND have scored.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Do you want to quickly respond, and then I'll take another batch of calls?
Thank you, Luchi. Luchi, first of all, Peter, I don't know what language he thinks I'm using and what he means by the language. He spoke about some individual. I don't want to speak about an individual that he has named. Yeah, but what is true is that those colleagues of yours you are calling Jerabos are Zambian citizens who want to earn a living, who want to live like you. So imewapita magurako na talk time, matuma, makamba, ngwena, na imwe munga nkale ngwena, yakuti simvela siziva vintu vamene vichitika muziko. Vantu vavutika makomboni umo. Imewapita ngati mukudya mwadya lelo. Muzibe kuti kuli vanzanu vamene vauka valibe chakudya. Kuli vanzanu vamene avutika. Kuli vanzanu vakutisanga kwanise na kuti aende kuchipatala. Na nima yamene tinasiya ija ili mu mashambozi. These are things vapita imwe kuti muwadya vagudi anu talk time simungazive. But muzimvela ngati tikamba pano wapita. Muzimvela ngati tikamba. Pakuti matengapo vomvela bwino. Amake Angela, who is a mother, knows exactly what they are going through, because a mother knows what it means to put food on the table. When my brother says Nakurumutinta Pamakasa and the youth is looking at the vulnerable of society, that we should anchor, that we should make policies around in order for the rest of the citizens to benefit. So imwe amake Angela mumvela vuto mamene ididi. Makambankanza ZNS nakambapo kudala za management of my stocks, which has been a problem. CDF, amake Angela have been using CDF kutoka mu 2011. And CDF yamene wakambapo ni ankani chabe. You know, I'm happy that na wa UPND bataria is kudala benzo kambati you can't eat roads. But now if you move around Lusaka now that we are heading to elections, uona ma construction monse manje kuti bachiteko vantu waone ati roads are being done. The dual carriageway that is being done with money from our people, NAPSA's money, and the toll gets sold for people to collect money from. That's not how you do projects for the nation. And Peter, when you say Palibe Vamene Tenzo Chita, you can look back. Even at my level as minister, time ya tenze kuenda usegula manyumba yawa kapokola kuti bambe onkala ko bwino. Kumakopa belt mwamene muno mu Lusaka na ma areas yanangu kuma Monze kuma Zabuka. President benzo endo segura tuma toilet kukitwe. So these are things we should be comparing and contrasting if you want to compare. Cadarism has always been a challenge. Yes, we have acknowledged that cadarism we could have done much better in terms of managing it. But you see, when I say cadarism must not be cleared by making pronouncements, you can't say now we have got no cadarism. We have, in fact, we are talking about violent cadarism. When was the former minister, being beaten in the full view of the police in Mazabuka for just trying to exercise his democratic right? Honorable Garin Kombo, beaten in presence of his wife. You know, these violent activities have been there. Just the other day, we had property vehicles that on the presidential entourage damaged. So, cadarism must be dealt with holistically. It should not be only cadarism when it's done by others. When it's done by the UPND, it's not cadarism and one can ignore it. We have lost lives. In Magoye there, a person just for being a driver to an independent candidate lost his life. So these are things that we should face head on. And cadarism, violent cadarism done by anyone must be treated the same. So, yes, we have to deal with these things. But Potter, I didn't get you quite clearly. You were saying things were done better during our time, and you know, some things are also done better. We should focus on road shading. We can't focus only on road shading, Peter, without looking at how farming was. You were able to buy a bag of mini mwenzogura kabunga wa Peter, under 100 kwacha. Why? Because ulimi wenzeko farmers wenzotenga fertilizer mtawi yokwa na bwino wenzotenga fertilizer yokwa na bwino. That's why mwe bapota mtown muno mwezo kwanza kugura kaunga less than 100 kwacha. Mwavera maka Angela wakambatika kaunga ni ma 260 na mwenangu kwenda pamwamba mtengo. Why? Because things are not okay. Even as the price is going, the food basket is now 12,000 plus. Masara is having to need it pamene yanakapo increased. So even when you tell the public servants to say, "Oh, go and get your partial withdrawal for your pension," it doesn't help. It doesn't help because you are telling someone to eat his pension in advance instead of creating an environment for them, making them earn a living when they are still in service. That's how a responsible government should be treating citizens. So I think I've responded to
all of them.
These three.
Okay, let me go back to the phone lines. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name?
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name?
This is a senior citizen within Makeni.
A senior citizen. Okay, go ahead, senior citizen.
Yes, a quick one. When Honorable Kampyongo talked about the energy part, he triggered something which has reminded me how UPND hasn't got a good will for the youth. I remember very well that when PF was leaving power, they left about 150 youth empowerment tankers, which has gone completely mute from the PS Kangwa, from PS Kawana. It's been 5 years now. We don't know the way about and how that project has been moving in the nation, because that was meant also to help out in the energy sector and also to build capacity building on our youth so that they can also be trading in facilitating of fuel energy in our country. But that has been completely quiet, and that was the most talked over thing when PF left those tankers at the stadium. But it's been mute the whole past 5 years. We don't know what is going on. I don't know if Mr. Kampyongo has got an idea about it, or maybe he can talk about that one.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. You've taken note of that, eh? Okay. 226-841-0978-895-895. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
How are you?
Okay, what's your name?
This is Lawrence for the line.
Lawrence, go ahead, Lawrence.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Kampyongo.
Good morning, Lawrence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are behind you. We are for BMA, sir. A lot of people have suffered. We are promised 50 kwacha minimum. 25 kg, it hasn't arrived. We are promised education from grade 1 to university, it hasn't arrived. We are promised rule of law, today there's no rule of law. Look at Nafason Mukuka, a whistleblower about alleged civil servants voting out the election. He's in the cell, suppose voting without his right of bond, his right of bail. You understand? So we are behind you. We have seen how the police are stopping you. Okay, when it's your time and your right to assemble, they're stopping you. We don't want that. We don't want to see people being killed by UPND cadres. A radio retailer was killed. I sit listening to a song, killed. So when you start in, they say the people is vote out back PF. How are they going to be beaten? People are being killed right now by UPND cadres without being arrested. But people are being beaten. Gani Gombo, former minister, was beaten. What about me, a simple radio caller? You think they will, they'll kill me too, you understand? So you talk about freedom and peace, you don't understand what freedom they're talking about. Maybe only UPND cadres have got freedom and peace. Because the country are suffering. Then people are hating the economy is bad. They try to do with the debt. Today is how much are they owing today? Okay, about $10 billion. But then nothing, only toilet. So we are behind you, sir. Don't be debted. We shall go all the things played. We will not entertain them.
Okay.
We are focused at
change. Lawrence, thank you very much, Lawrence. There's a text here from somebody who says, good morning. I've listened to a lot of the rallies from the BMMZ ticket, and it's mostly about consumption. Please ask Mr. Kampyongo, how are these guys going to raise the money to finance what they're selling, that which they failed to do barely 5 years ago? So maybe you can add that there. And then also there's this, please let Mr. Kampyongo explain what structured support to the youths in mining he's talking about. Can he outline what that looks like, unlike just saying it'll be well structured? So that we don't forget, there are 4. Do you want to respond? And then
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ruch. Lawrence was talking about, first, the senior citizen of Makeni was asking about the empowerment of tankers that went to the youth empowerment under the ministry. This is an issue that we were raising even in Parliament before we dissolved Parliament. It would appear those tankers were shared amongst the powerful and youths were meant to just sign papers, and from the few complaints that we got. So really there will be need to follow through and see who benefited from those tankers that were meant for the youths, senior citizen. That's a little I can say about that empowerment. But Rollins, thank you so much for the support. And indeed, you were speaking to issues of the promises that were made in terms of minimum cost for 50 kwacha, 250 kwacha fertilizer cost, and the doing away of pamelas and sachets of cooking oil. Again, Zambians have got every right to follow up on these promises before new promises can be made, especially for those that are seeking support from the masses. It's important to account for the promises that were made in the past. We don't want to make those unrealistic promises. For now, we have to deal with the policies that will culminate into affordable, food prices, affordable commodities, basic commodities for our citizens. Yeah, you talked about police interference. I spoke to this area, and I don't think at this point we are going to sit and be crybabies. We deal with these challenges and move on. What is key is that we are receiving mammoth support from the Zambian citizens. You talked about freedom. Yes, indeed. It's important to question some of these freedoms. It was on this platform and many other platforms where the current president was talking about freedoms and how they were going to do away with the cyber laws which were introduced for ensuring that citizens were protected on the cyberspace, and that the balance was then, was being stricken to ensure that people's liberties were, allowed, and the security is also granted. What did our colleagues do when they were supposed to come and do away with those laws? They came in and enhanced them. And therefore, now you are talking about your fellow a gentleman who is a journalist, who is now in incarceration for cases that are bearable, and still is not released. These are the things that we as citizens should be speaking to, candidly, without fear or favor. A mistake made by me should be a right made by the next person. A mistake should be mistake, and all of us who are in leadership should own up. And what I expected for me, if indeed the president had good advisors, either the advisors fear to whisper to him when they see him coming from the trail, a campaign trail, or he simply ignores them. Because the best thing would have been to come back to the people. Because where I come from, we say, takalawa mwewa, kalawa kalandire, meaning he who promises easily forget than they promised. So it would have been just logical for the president to come and say, yes, I promised this, but the reality is here where we are. And that comes to the issue of there's so much I can take advantage to talk about. There's so much talks about debt that people have been saying, you contracted debt or you built infrastructure. So who is better? Who built and who came to pay? First of all, we are yet to pay this debt. The debt has just been restructured and it is yet to be paid. And so there's no one who should be saying, because I've heard depressed singers saying, twalipira debt. That hasn't been done. We have to make it clear. And the reasons, some of the reasons why we probably had we ended up with challenges of defaulting and whatnot are very clear. The country was befallen with COVID-19 between 2017 and 2020, which ravaged the nation, and everything came to a standstill. And it's not only the Zambian government, it's only the government that found itself in a situation where they couldn't service their obligations in terms of debt. But we managed to navigate the nation through that COVID pandemic and made sure that under the leadership of President Edgar Lungu, may so rest in peace, we navigated the nation back into normalcy. And then we were supposed to sit back and say, how do we then start dealing with the obligations that were supposed to be undertaken during that period? So, and that also, followed just after the drought that we had, where we had some short periods of road shedding. So, this is what we should be saying. The government now should be looking at the achievements. I don't think it will help the government to be talking about PF this, PF that, at this late hour. At this late hour, I see the president struggling, going even back to the areas where he has campaigned before, to go and deliver the same message. But I think it would have been better if I was part of his advisors to just come to the citizens and say, okay, I promised this, we couldn't fulfill, please bear with us. This is what we are going to do next. Okay. Look, it's one thing when we embarked on infrastructure development, for example, road network. Lusaka was like a town coming from war, and many other areas. To make it a city it is today and to have passable roads, it took time and it took resources. And we needed those resources. And that's the reason why we had to borrow. And so this talk about borrowing, maybe it's time that the government left it to others to deal with it as they exit government. You talked about Mingalato. There will be no Mingalato that will be used to circumvent the people's will. And I must repeat, there will be no Mingalato that will be used by anyone to circumvent the people's will. We know that obviously you didn't anticipate to see the competition that has been waged by NRPUP. And people are literally decided. So those of you who are sitting in little corners and scheming of plan B, there will be no plan B apart from people casting their votes, count those votes and make sure that they are tallied and a winner is pronounced.
Okay.
To start thinking that no, here we can go and do this, or here we shall use the chopper. We know there's one DC who has resigned because he doesn't want to be part of the lawlessness that some of them are calculating. This thing of coming up with lists of presiding officers to be dictated to the local authorities who are the agents of ECZ, we will not work. It will not work.
Okay.
So just try to maximize the remaining period in order to get more voters than thinking that there's anything else that can be done using Mingalato either to manipulate the people's will or to do anything, because we are in the same society and we are listening to all those little meetings that you are having in the dark corners. And we know exactly what you are planning. And we are ready for that.
All right. There was a question about how you intend to raise the money to finance what you're selling.
Simply put, that's why I'm saying that we must put things right in the mining sector, where we have God-given natural capital. Put things right. We start getting the revenue from that sector properly. It will be easier to then channel these resources into the need areas. Make agriculture productive and viable. It will also be a source of revenue. And energy itself, it can be a source of revenue, apart from just being a catalyst for production.
Okay. 226-841-0978.
Oh, someone asked about the kind of support to the small-scale miners.
Yeah, just maybe let me take this because I already picked up the line. Then we'll come back to that one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, that's Phoenix.
Yes, this is Phoenix. What's your name?
Morning, Honorable Kampyongo.
Good morning, madam.
What's your name?
Well, my name is Judy. I'm calling from Dola.
Okay, Judy. Go ahead, Judy.
Kampyongo.
I think our line. I think she's gone. Try again. 226-841-0978-895-895. You can respond now to the question the last question that we didn't respond to, the one about the structured.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So the structured support to the small-scale miners is where we make sure that you provide equipment for them, and you provide the skills, those that are competent enough to understand the art of mining, because mining cannot be done in a manner it's being done now. You need people that are competent enough to go and look at the earth, the deposits, and make sure that where these youths are mining, it's safe. So you create an environment that is safe. So one, equipment. Two, market. So that it's not just, when you leave it open, it's just a recipe for anarchy and lawlessness. So that's the kind of support that we are looking at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't get what Jude was trying to say.
Yeah, her line faded off. But let's see if she'll manage to get back. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Luchi.
Yes, boss.
Mulishani wakala.
We're not Shan, boss.
Mkwai. Kampyongo mwesha Ruvemba mwesha mushiri mulishani.
Mkwai sale paka china mwanga mlishana.
Niba pita chilesha bapaka ringa. Luchi first time ukutumira ku millennium. Sorry ku Phoenix uko. Kampyongo mwaliba Minister of Home Affairs ayini. Nomba nshishire apanga uti mwanje bako bakateke po bekala ku community house kuli. Indalama baposa. 5 years yapita nishinga. Ero nabakapokola bali abatantama mumusebo mulya. Isho babapela nishinga. Then babulema imo kuti mwalikongola. But imisebo mulebo mfya nama airport yo balebo mfya. Nimwebe mwakulile munkongole chabo chinecho isho bamushobwela kwakayakalala. Kampyongo munyina nemulela ndefintu fije ili mwalaisa na bamundu bile mwikala bepo obufiku bantu ifi batu bepava. That's why abantu naba babwela mo sapali no ule basekelela baba nani kani. Abantu nga bapito mu road show abantu balebutuka ati ababalubuli aba. Bala muma
ngata ufueleta akashika bala akuma mwamona ile mapatiza formula usheba nani kaneko mwali ba Kampyongo iyefueko yali mapatiza formula tabarelwa na bana mutale na Rumango na ba mutati benyaba natotela ndefu munje beko chipendo ba posa pali 5 years.
Okay.
Yo ba president bekala community house kulia.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Let me take another one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Tonse-Pamodzi from Zaf Green Farm.
Yes, Bonfres, go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Kampyongo.
Good morning, Boniface. Thank you.
Good morning. Tuambirila nifuna nikuyanikire nipo tikambira kwa sema Zambia na mimi tukutika pa na background ya UPNG. But question yanga ni akuti tika forming a government pa 15 August. Aya ma issues ya matogeti ya mini anapata foreigners for 25 days. Kote mza 7 zira po bwana. Kati bezira matogeti.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to respond to those two, and then we'll see if we can get back to the phone lines.
Thank you so much. Bachileshe mkwaiba pita cheshe motende kabiri. Ili pusho lyenu mwa pusho kutila kwikala kwa wakateka kulile nganda wekala kwa kunganda kumwabo kulia wenda chila bushiku mwabe pabe vipendo vya ndalama shingesha yapo. Mkwai wa pita echo ningalanda cha kutila ulia mupuso ufiro kusakamika mwebekala chalo pantu mwebekala chalo mwalikula inganda mwalipanga inganda emokateka onse afire okwikala umomo aikala na bakateka bonse abo mwabala mwakwata okwamira pali bakaundo kwisafika pali ba Edgar Lungu abanamba mutanda na mufyalo fimbi efyo chaba nga mwatimuroje kula kwene kucharo chaba America kula kwa ba Trump aba kwa chendala mechine bakwatane fikuru efine wise kuli ba England kukwine ku babali ba mwisaba tutekerepo nako kwali ba amayanda abantu awengira mu nganda ira batya number 110 Street bonse nga wasala we muntu echo tukufwailo kuya mukwikala mu nganda ya buteko iria emu abana pakubala ifisorobero fa kumono kutila umutende wa kwakateka oli bwino kabiri emu aba okutila lidole ekitefi ntu vya minimo ya buteko enchipule chaba echifure chaba fe gazetted ukwa kutila ama paper ya chalo ya kutekere chalo ife tutila ama document ya fuire fe okusangwa tafiro okusangwa kunchende imbiyo kanshi uriya mupuso twalira ndapo na munganda amafunde nenda lama tubika muri cha tutila budget na ichambira po number 1 tutila ni state house na state house ni ilya ya ishibikwa eyo tupera budget ya ndalama nomba elo indalama shire ya kula kunganda imbiri ya nganda ba kachitashani ndefu ande chilondora muchipemba kuti mpisha muchipemba bapita cheshe muchikonke bwino ulondoro shibuka bashani wa mu bwemfeshe shandalama isho sha tani shwo kubomba kuri iri nganda ya buteko ero shesanga kunganda imbi fyonse fintu twaiba kwa banensu tele pano pene ndela ndapeka iyo twalibe bakwa banensu kutila ubu wafya mwayamba mfire mwalondoro ya bena Zambia emo chilero na nomba ni nemulera ndo kutya bakapokora batanta machila bushiku tefo chifiro kuba iyo pantu mitanta mine fila tutia route lining ifiro kulawa one off event te yachila bushiku yo pantu imendela kwa kateka ifire yabafyo kutila afu mapa ayapa nomba checha kuti bafuye kunganda baye mkubomba ku official wabwekela kunganda bareshe nganda buteko chali leto bwafya ero pale atufiro kulaisho kuti abalengira mure munganda ila ni banani pantu nganda buteko efira nama fista kanwa limbi kuti ale chitika kunganda kumbi ukuchira munganda buteko bwafya twakwata pali lyashi bakalamba tekuti afe nindala mashinga shirapo chine indala mashiyapo shena shingi isha kutila bakapokora bakabala chira nshita ukuya mukwimina kuda mwamwene kwa pakunu mwako kwa dino kurufyo moyo wa mushirikale hapo na kampumpu mpako kusansa ikafira fini so fyose fintu twalanda ponomba abana bashinguruke kateka ngatabare mwebe chishinka dimodimo efichitika nifirafine ero kesa bokulanda ebakala nokuchiwa mkwatu alilandire twatireyo tachifuro kubefi yo parapanga benga ndayabuteko yabakateka pali ba echo bayibikile palya. So in short, it has not been desirable for the head of state to be using a private residence as an official residence. It has not been in the interest of the nation, and it's the first time it has happened. And people of Zambia must be concerned that if they want to continue with that kind of scenario, they should know that it will be very difficult for them to hold the occupier of that office accountable. And I did say that the appropriation of monies for the number one office, State House, it's State House and the residence, which is well known and which is gazetted. Now, the money that is applied to the other residents, if they come and say abuse of authority, misappropriation of money, those are the scenarios where you expect those queries to come from. Because that's a private residence where public resources are being spent and it's not gazetted. So a question watching Peter Peter. Mukwaena if yanko ngone na mlondora bwino na mkumyako ukutira chine malanda na pali violence. Mwakuma pali violence. And I want to take this opportunity to plead with the president to preach peace. The president must preach unity. If the president goes to Southern Province and tells people that if you vote another government, you'll be beaten. Have we ever seen a mounted roadblock of citizens mounting a roadblock to beat people from Southern Province? Is that true? Is that correct? So I think we need to start reflecting on these things. It doesn't augur well. Because when you are saying one Zambia, one nation in one breath, and then in the other breath you are steering emotions of people, it's not unity. The president must start preaching unity as the head of state. Similarly, the president cannot use the public podiums where he is addressing citizens who are hoping for the better future, who want to listen to him, the message of development, the message of them having an affordable cost of living. What does he do? He hopes to start talking about individuals. Mundubire and Makebi now become boys. Kampyongo and Gary Nkombo, who was minister of, should not be associates. When Parliament, as a national institution, has got facilities for members that are common facilities where members sit regardless of where they're coming from. We coexist, we share ideas. And I was so concerned specifically when the president made allegations against former Minister of Local Government, Gary Nkombo, that he was sitting with me to plan against him. That's not correct, Mr. President. You may have issues with Honorable Gary Nkombo, but please address those issues as brothers, as someone who has been there for you, as someone who have worked with. Gary Nkombo was one of those people that stood for the president. Even in our interactions, I've mentioned it, I've been made to speak to it publicly, that Gary Nkombo, Mr. Jack Mwimbu, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, Cornelius Mwitwa, who is a colleague for many years before we even became politicians, have been colleagues. And when there were those challenges between the President Hakainde and the police, I don't remember any other time these people came to engage us other than to find a solution. So to try and allege that there was anything that was being done is not correct, and let's show gratitude to one another, because I remember that these are people that were calling us even in the middle of the night. Musukwa was government whip. He would be the person that they would get in touch. So I just wanted to spell those allegations against myself and Honorable Gary Nkombo. And then when he says Kampyongo was gassing, you go to the people, how would I be such a magician to gas the whole nation myself as a human being? So all you are saying is that Kampyongo was using the police to do gassing, because those are the people I was supervising. How can I gas and at the same time be the one to go and fight the criminals who are gassing people? How does that add up? We all know that we had suspects who were arrested for gassing by the police. And some of these suspects have been released on knowledge, and they have been paid. We had innocent people like Dr. Zuman Zimba, the Secretary General for Tonse-Pamodzi Alliance, who was had to be prosecuted for these same issues of gassing, and it had to take the court to acquit him. We knew that he was going to be acquitted because the main suspects, some of the suspects that were released on knowledge and being paid, could have been the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. I spent sleepless nights to go on the Copper Belt to work with the police to ensure that these criminal activities were kept. So it's not correct that the president should go to the public and start making those insinuations. It's not correct. People are waiting to listen from you, sir, on what you are going to do for them. You saw in Chingola, where we had a massive rally in Chiwempara, we saw a citizen coming with a stick, where he had tied a Pamela, a sachet of cooking oil, a chunk, this is what you call chunk, the soya chunks, and a few little things, which he was demonstrating to President Munduvira and his running mate, to say, please, we want to get rid of these things. We have suffered enough. Those are the things that people are waiting to hear from. People are waiting to hear from unity. Baruchi. Now we are intermarried. We don't care about who comes from where. My children are Chewa Bemba. Their next cousins are Rosie Chewa. Others are Tonga Bemba. And that's how it is. So we can't start breeding a division in the manner the president is doing it. People should be brave. I know that we have got so many cowards now. People want to show love to the presidents without for avoiding to tell them what is correct. There's no harm to go to the president and say, no, president, be on fire. You are seeking for people's support. You can't go to seek for people's support who you are scattering. So if he has to go also to Bembaland and say, no, that's why I started defending myself. No, you people are being beat. It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Okay. Can I add another call?
So Boniface Spirit, so let me just conclude this. Boniface Spirit was asking about the toll gates. We introduced those toll gates to ensure that they were sustainable. There was guaranteed resource to go to road maintenance. That was the rationale behind the introduction of toll gates. So that those, the roads on which these tolls are mounted, do not go to the west before you could get the maintenance being done. So to come and sell them to someone is a new phenomenon that needs to be interrogated. And therefore, for me, who was part of the introduction of those toll gates, those toll facilities, we would want to return them to the intended purpose it was intended. Where you utilize public funds like we did on Chingola, Sorwezi Road, and I'm happy that Honorable Akimulusa is still around, we make sure that the money that has been used is recouped in a structured way, not what we are seeing in the manner that where someone, before they finish the road, they start collecting money. Go to Chirirabombwe Chingola Road today. You saw that bridge which was washed away, which was poorly done. Go to do the road itself, which was done under that PPP. It can show you that someone is cheating, someone is ripping off the citizens and making people pay for short works that have been done on that road. You saw the people crying on the road between Ndora and Mufrira. It had to take the former minister of Copper Belt to go and speak to the poor works that are being done. So people are being ripped. So to answer your question, we shall reinstate back the tolls to the intended purpose.
Okay.
Simple.
All right. 22641. Let's see if we can take 2 calls before we finish. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Just very quickly, I'm almost out of time. What's your name?
Yeah, this is Mwemba.
Okay, go ahead, Mwemba.
Calling you from Chalam.
Okay, go ahead.
I think for now, it's not a matter of what did PF do. As a matter of the fact, where we are standing now, PF was split. Individuals went wherever they wanted to go. Those that remained in PF, they're in alliance with UPND. It's everywhere. Everyone knows that. So sometimes I wonder when I see our president saying, no, PF did this, PF did that, Mao Sampa is seated. Because all we know is that Mao Sampa is the president for PF. So this issue of pointing fingers, they've had the 5 years. What have they done in that 5 years? So him, the only thing that he has to go in his campaigning is to tell the people to say, about this program, about this project, we are going to continue and this is what we want to do. But he's failing to do that because he knows there's literally nothing. Yeah, he brought free education. But then, aside from free education, what else has he done? Farmers are complaining there's no money in circulation. Some of us, we are businessmen. We are working on ourselves. But then there's no business. There's no money in circulation. Things are hard on the ground, you see. To tell you the truth, I was one of the people that were diehard. But we can't continue supporting something that we know to say. It's not helping us. So I think Stephen Kampyongo and your crew, please, this time we start Mundubide. We just need something different. We can't continue putting the same thing that we know. We already know the answers. He came with good English, good terminologies, GDP, everything. But then have those things helped us in any way? Nothing. So it's Team Mundubide. I think we are voting for Mundu. And don't be scared to say maybe in Southern Province what. Me, I'm Tonga, Ndimutonga, Ndimutonga. We are tired. Let's change. We want to change. We are tired of this government.
Okay.
They have failed.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. All right. Do you wanna respond as we finish up?
Thank you so much, Womwemba Narumbaka Party, and we want to have people like you to help out in diffusing the message of division that our president is trying to inculcate, to try and brainwash our brothers and sisters in the southern province. You be helpful in a small way you can to try and make people understand that there's no way we are going to mask the failure of performance of our leader. It's not about where he's coming from. It's about what he has done. It's about the promises that he gave to the people. How is he taking stock of those promises that were given? Where he has failed, what is he saying? And like you have put it, Womwemba, the issue of PF is neither here nor there. You know, even when you say crocodiles, the crocodiles are those that are sitting next to you in the chairs. You know, and those you are in alliance with from the PF, we are going to still be bound by the decision we made under the PF government. We are not going to shy away. Where we made mistakes, we shall look back and say, yes, here we made mistakes, we can remedy. And that's how we are looking at things. Really, like you have said, it doesn't pay to go back and forth the same places preaching the same broken record. It's about giving the message of hope that can change the people's minds and vote. But like you are saying, we are not going to shy away from Southern Province because we know that there are many like you, there are many brothers and sisters who are seeing things for what they are, who are seeing the failure of performance in the farming sector, in the mining sector, in the energy sector, who want to see different things being done for the betterment of the nation. And so we want to have more of you, my brother Wamwemba, to come and say, it's not about who is who. We want development and we want meaningful development. You talked about reserves. Yes, reserves are very important. But what are reserves if you can't pay people that have told at the University of Zambia as lecturers producing human resource that is needed for the nation? What are reserves if people are going home, starving? If the cost of fuel cannot be, properly maintained, it comes to nothing. What are graphs? The 10-point plan, just lamentations. So I totally agree with you. We are coming quite high. We are on the way. We are next from Northwestern Province, and I want to thank the people of Northwestern Province to stand tall and say, look, yes, we supported the UPND, but now we would like to see change. I want to support the leadership there, our colleagues, the former members of parliament, and the leaders that are have welcomed our presidential candidate and his running mate there. Overwhelmingly, we support. We are not going to take this support we are getting from the masses for granted. We will make sure that we are subjects of the people that give us the authority. The moment you start seeing people get drunk with the authority, including their subordinates, and want to take people for granted, you know that there is danger. It's time to switch and remedy the situation and get the leadership that should be able to listen to the people with humility and humbleness. And I think President Mundubire has demonstrated his humility, so is his running mate.
I'm out of time. So in just 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
Yeah, anything else you want to say?
What I would want to say is, first of all, we need to restore Zambia as one Zambia, one nation. We cannot expect to have meaningful development in this nation if we remain fragmented. If we start entertaining this regionalism that we have seen being preached, where we are, let the Zambian people decide. Let the Zambian decide. Even these preacher men who are now cashing in by predicting, elections results, are not going to help anyone. What will be helpful are the people themselves. They are going to decide just like they've done in many years. And when they decide, no one should think they are going to use Mingalato or to think of any plan B. There will be no plan B apart from people casting their vote for the leaders. They want to lead them. And those of the teachers, our civil servants who will have the responsibility to be presiding officers, only follow off instructions. And those that are planning to go and cause mayhem in certain areas as a way of disenfranchising people, we are aware and we are not going to allow that. Okay. The defense has got their role to play when it comes to electoral processes. Theirs is just go and cast a vote for the government that's going to look after them, which is going to take into the account of their welfare and make sure that they are well equipped and make sure that they protect the nation's sovereignty. The police have got their mandate. And so no one should think those are the apparatus we all used. Those are the apparatus UNIP used. Those are the apparatus MD used. And we, as PF, use those same apparatus. No one should think you can change the use of apparatus, state apparatus, to do wrong things. It will never happen. Okay. Thank you so much, Luchi.
Thank you very much to Mr. Stephen Kampyongo joining us this morning for a special paid-for program, just talking about the NRPUP. Thank you very much indeed. It's 12 o'clock on Phoenix.